Hello, this is Paul Hansen with ETemplate Systems, and today we're going to show you measuring a countertop space using ELaser. You already have the laser set up, so now we're going to go ahead and establish some marker positions for locations we can't see. So with these markers, we're able to establish measuring position for both remodels and new construction. So by combining with this L bracket, you can see that the short length of the T, same as the short leg of the L, and the long leg of the T is the same as the long leg of the L. So what we do is we place the L bracket underneath the top and just snug the T bracket up against it. And now this back edge of the T is right in line with this, as well as a scribe line on the side. So I'll just do this in two positions for this edge. And we're ready to measure, and we'll just go over and work on the other side. So over on this side, we've got bare cabinets. We're going to go ahead and place the markers right on that cabinet. Again, we place two markers per edge, and now we've got this front face that we can hit, which is in line with the cabinet, or we can hit that silver scribe line. Either way, we're good to go. So when we first get the system, you're going to want to look at setting up the tools settings box within ETemplate Measure Manager. So this right here sets up parameters for how you're going to design and define your countertop. So up here we've got buttons to have it automatically calculate linear footage, automatically do square footage, have it automatically layer and sublayer the data for ease of use. Do you want it to have create backsplashes automatically? Do you want it to export the point IDs in the CAD? Do you want it to do build-up or laminations in your design if you do that? And here we can define wall lines as being scribed or straight. If you want your wall lines to be offset for insulation clearances, either a full offset or corner offsets where it creates the walls at an angle going from front exposed corner to back sealed edge. Do you want your labels to be out in decimals or in fractions? So for instance, if you want to put these out to maybe 1/32 of an inch. If you want color code your different items such as walls or front edges, just select the color. You get an option of 64 different colors, and when the system draws, it's going to automatically utilize those colors for you. Up here we can set parameters such as for your outside radiuses. Maybe you like 1 inch for your outside radius, maybe 2 inches for an inside radius, maybe 1.5 inches for an overhang. Wall height and wall thickness are not used in cabinets. Wall offset, maybe you want an 1/8 or a 1/4 or something in there. Corner offsets is for your corner offset for the walls. Splash heights, maybe a default of 1 inch and maybe an oversize of 1 inch to cut at the job site. If you're doing build-up, you can identify what your build-up or lamination value is. And then note size, which is really text. So usually 2 inches is a good number. So these sets of parameters can then be saved or exported via a name. So you might have one for quartz and one for corian, or one for beveled edge versus one for OG edge. And then before you start a specific job for a specific contractor, just import that settings file and away you go. Now that we've selected our settings file, we're ready to go ahead and start our measure. And the first thing we're going to do is establish the x-axis, which is the horizontal orientation of the drawing for display on our computer. So we'll select the x-axis icon, measuring 2 points left to right. We're selecting one of the right or left buttons on the remote. And when the laser blinks, we know it's taking a data point. So I'll move over to the right, take another point. So now we'll select our countertop icon. And what we're going to do is we're going to measure in a clockwise manner, starting with the first edge coming off the last wall. So we have a wall in the back and we have an adjacent edge that we're going to measure to. So I could select the face of these, but for viewing by the system, you're going to want to use this scribe line right here. And we'll go ahead and press our remote. So we're doing 2 points per finished edge, working our way around the top. we collect data. It's displayed on the screen for us. The points take about 3 seconds each. So you're going to use the zoom function of the system, and these two arrows are zoom in and out. So I'm going to zoom up, and now I can go ahead and use my fine adjust to make sure I'm right on that crosshair, just like that. Now again, we've got this blind edge, so we'll use our edge markers, get to the scribe line. Do our next edge, the next marker. Now we need to measure the back of this peninsula, and I don't have markers there, so I'm going to move the ones I've got. And now we can hit these vertical surfaces of the markers. Using the remote allows us to stay away from the computer itself to be able to just work the laser and collect data. Now we come down to the wall, and again we're going to take as much data as we want. Take points very tight, or we can take them at large distances depending on how straight the wall is. Continue along. Again, being 3D, we can easily go above existing splashes. So we've gone completely around the perimeter. Now we hit the enter button, and the drawing is created. Another operation you may want to perform is measuring center location. So here we've put the beam to the center of this sink base. We're going to go ahead and take a point, and it's going to create a point in our data file right at that location for positioning our sink. Now that we have the basic countertop design, we're ready to add additional features and modifications. So the first thing we're going to do is drop in a sink. So this is a DXF drop-in, so it's good for any kind of sink or any kind of cutout. And the first thing it wants to know is what edge do we want to put this sink to. So I'm going to select this angled edge. It wants to know what feature do we want to center it to. And we measured that point earlier, so I'm going to go where it says PNT. I could select the midpoint. And then what's my setback? I'm going to key in 4 inches, and it places my sink. So if we look around the drawing, you see that it's labeled everything. It's drawn the splash. If we look at these labels, it defines whether it's a finished edge or wall, how long they are, etc., as well as the radiuses. So I'm going to go into what we call a dynamic edit, and I'm going to pick the label for this outer edge here, and we'll see it's got the standard 1.5 inch overhang, but I want to change that to 12 inches as a bar top. And just to make sure everybody knows it, I'm going to actually label it bar top. When I hit OK, that's all updated. I might do the same thing with this corner radius. Let's make that 8 inches. Of course, using standard tools, we can also go in there and add seam lines and other items. Now I'll go ahead and I'm just going to zoom in up on this text here, and you'll see that it's calculated the linear footage of profile, the square footage of countertop, and the square footage of splash, all ready for costing. Okay, we're back, and we're going to now do our full height splash. You'll notice in terms of the laser position, it's still on the tripod. It's about halfway between the top of the cabinets, top of the lowers, and the bottom of the uppers, so that we'll be able to get all of our measurements. When needed, you can also take the laser off of the tripod, and it can be just laying by itself on a small foot. So right now we're going to go ahead and we need to establish this back wall as our XY coordinate system. So we're going to select the XY icon and take 3 points. And so we're going to take, using our remote, first point for an X, the second point for next. So you want these first 2 points to be fairly level. So you may even use a level to establish that. And the third point going up. So I've gone left, right, and up. So those 3 points define that plane. And now what I'm going to do is, there's several ways of measuring full height splash. You can just measure it as independent lines. In this case, I'm going to actually measure it as a countertop with 0 overhang and 0 radiuses. All that being done in my settings file. So I'm going to take points, 2 points per edge, moving around. And here we've placed a piece of tape to indicate where we want the end of the splash to be. I'm going to measure points on it. And we're going to hit the underside of the cabinet. Using the fine tunes just to get up there easily. Again, all the points are coming into the screen automatically. Remote control is taking our data points. Don't want to get too much reflection on my back wall, so I'm going to stay away from the very corner. Just keep working my way around. What's nice about using the countertop function for this routine is that it's going to automatically trim all my corners. It's going to automatically calculate all the lengths of my edges as well as the overall square footage of the splash. Right to the edge of the wall. Going around the entire perimeter. Hit the enter button. We've got a full splash. Now we can go ahead and add features to that, such as the outlet here. So I'm going to go into my rectangle command, and this allows us to pick 2 opposing corners of the outlet. So again, I'll use the fine tunes, grab the corner, go to the opposite corner, measure it, and those 2 points give me a perfect rectangle. Of course, using the additional CAD commands, we can do offsets, and any other type of design parameters we want. So today we've shown you the basics of our ELaser Express, and from here you're going to go out and you're going to learn more on your own, but you're also going to have questions. So please don't hesitate to call, ask our expert trainers how to fill in the details, or even come visit us in beautiful Raleigh, North Carolina for some super one-on-one training. Look forward to working with you.